Here I have two gorgeous Brachypelma tarantulas. First one is standard Brachypelma hamorii, female of course, and my personal favorite, at least when it comes to Brachypelmas, Brachypelma auratum. Gorgeous tarantula, right? Anyhow, we are going to move them into new enclosures. But before we start, in 6 weeks I will attend Verona Expo in Italy. Here's the list of all tarantulas that I can bring, that you can reserve, and here's the list of all the glass enclosures that I will bring, that I can bring and you can reserve. No need to reserve acrylic enclosures because I will have more than enough of them. To reserve them, you can send me a message on Instagram or Facebook or to my email written down below. I'm really looking forward to coming to Italy for the first time. Anyhow, tarantula rehouses. Brachypelma auratum doesn't really need bigger enclosure, but the reason why I want to make her a new enclosure because of how her current one looks. She kind of destroyed her background, so white styrofoam balls are everywhere and I really hate it. So yeah, since she's my favorite Brachypelma, I definitely need to provide her a proper enclosure. So yeah, same size enclosure and new background. Of course I need to cover it with dirt first, and I'm going to reuse her cork bark. Now for the Brachypelma hamorii, she's a bit bigger, not too much, and the truth is she could probably fit inside of this enclosure for next 1 or 2 molds for sure, but she is now big enough to get a proper permanent enclosure. So that's why I got this 30 by 25 by 25 enclosure ready. But for her we will need to build the background, something similar that I did for my desert scorpion, so you know, more deserty vibe, at least on the back, but I will still use normal substrate and cork bark hide. So before we actually deal with these beauties, we have some backgrounds to make with a couple of time jumps because everything will need to dry. First thing that will need to dry will be the expanding foam, because I will use it to secure these rocks to the back. And oh, I almost forgot, one of the reasons why I want to build that type of background is I want to see if I can reuse old excavator clay that I took from Desert Scorpion's old enclosure. These are the chunks from that enclosure, and I want to see if I add water, if I will be able to reshape them and use them just like a new excavator clay. Yeah, so an experiment, of course. Anyhow, let's put the rocks on their designated spots to figure out how this background is gonna look. Something like this should be alright, actually, like this, you know. The substrate level will be high, so I don't need to go further down with the rocks. Yeah, that's the idea. So, and expanding foam, just great. The can lost pressure for some reason. It is Sunday now and I cannot just buy new. Maybe I can squeeze it out, I have no idea. Nope, it is dripping, but this won't work. I guess I will just need to use the excavator clay to hold it in place. It should work. Oh, now you are dripping out. Let me just clean this. That will be one less time jump, and I will immediately figure out if I can reuse the excavator clay. So yeah, let's figure it out. I will just drop a few smaller pieces, and yeah, they are breaking down. So I guess this should work. We'll see how this big piece will break down, but it is definitely breaking down. Yep, it works! Which is great news, since excavator clay is kind of expensive, you know. It is basically just some clayish dirt, so yeah. It is just a little bit of time consuming because you need to crush it to the powder, basically. Here it is, this is how it looks, and it is a little bit too sandy because in Scorpion's enclosure I didn't use it as a background but as a substrate, so therefore I will add more excavator clay to make it stickier for the back, you know. And also I'm using her pottery, which is basically the same thing. Yeah, here's the stickiness, so we can use this immediately. I'll get a little bit of that under the rock, you know, so it sticks to the back. Then I want to see how this will go. Like that. A little bit here, and I just squeeze that. Right now I just need to fill all the gaps to tie it all together. I need to fill every little crack to be sure that these rocks don't just fall off. Okay, that should be good. I even have a bit of mixture left, but it is good to know that I can reuse it so I don't feel pressure to use it even though I don't need it. So I'll just leave it there to harden and use it in future Scorpion enclosures. Actually, a time jump, and with table clean we can now make a background for auratum. And I discovered one thing for smearing silicone around. I do not need to use an entire glove, I can just use one finger, glovey finger, you know. I mean rubber finger. It is way more practical that way. Of course, since we did this 1,000 times, I won't go into greater details, but what I did, this background is carved out of styrofoam board. I covered it with glue for tiles, and after that cured. Come on, can you stop going out of the tube? And once that glue is dry, I cover it with silicone for the aquariums, you know, black silicone, which in the end I will cover with dry potting soil. Straightforward and easy process, but it yields the best result in my opinion. There we go. Now potting soil, damn, got it on my finger, and that is also an easy process. I just drop it all on this sticky silicone, so it of course sticks. Now it needs to dry, so time jump, and both backgrounds are complete. This one is standard, nothing special, but no holes in styrofoam, the most important feature. And this one looks nice and rocky. Yeah, a bit more special. So let's add the substrate and get the ball rolling. Of course, we will set the enclosure for auratum first, which means that I will need to grab her cork bark first. Even though she never really used it, she never dig underneath to create a hide, but still I want to give all of my tarantulas an opportunity for a proper hide. I really love when tarantula is outside and not hiding, but I always want to provide them with hides so tarantula can choose if she wants to hide or if she wants to hang out outside all the time. And what I found out that even with proper hide, when tarantula digs it up and actually utilize it, some individuals still choose to hang outside and not utilize the hide all the time. Or to say it better, not to hide all the time. In the end, it all comes down to luck. At least that is my personal experience. You see, I spiced things up with these rocks. Now we need a leaf litter. Of course, I didn't put a drainage layer because not a lot of humidity is required for this species. So drainage layer would be waste, but a leaf litter is never a waste. That is a must-have for every enclosure. You see, this small enclosure is now even a bit too busy, but I don't really mind. Now the final touch. Sand for the texture. It just connects everything so nice, you see? Looking good. The background is not the best because it lacks some details, but the rest of the enclosure makes up for it. Now, the tarantula. Let's get her out. I don't think that I ever handled her, so I don't want to miss this opportunity. You know, I rarely do this. I rarely handle my tarantulas, but rehouses are the perfect opportunity. Because you need to get tarantula out of her enclosure, and usually they really hate that process. So I rarely do it, but it definitely is a thrilling thing. Oh yeah, maybe this will be the... Oh, don't throw hairs, you see? This is how you know that they don't like it. Go away from me. Okay, I will bring you back. You don't need to throw any more hairs. I mean, I will get you in your new enclosure. There we go. Hopefully I blew them off before they penetrated my skin. I can tolerate the hairs really good, but they are itchy. Really, really itchy. Anyhow, what do you think of your new enclosure? Yeah, go inside. Are you maybe satisfied? Ah, she's gorgeous tarantula. Super gorgeous. And we are going to let her get used to her new environment, her new house for next few years. You know, Brachypelmas, they are slow growers, so it will take a while. And she molted kind of recently, so it will take a while before she is too big for this enclosure. So let's place her on her shelf. Right here. Near another tarantula that needs a bigger enclosure. Chromatopelma pubescens. But I will probably do another scorpion rehouse before that. Anyhow, let's snatch another cork bark, because same thing, we're going to reuse it in her new enclosure. But she's on the move now. I hope that you don't mind this. No, go back inside. Yeah, it is still no time for you to go out. I can actually drop this inside of her new enclosure. You can basically reuse some of this substrate, mix it up with new one, because she didn't destroy her background, so no styrofoam in the substrate, and also no mold or anything like that. Perfect to be reused. So I'm going to get her in the catch cup first. You can turn on the other side. Yeah. Actually, I will just flip you here. So you just wait and you can actually see the cup. Anyhow, I'm gonna transfer some of that substrate here. For some reason I added a lot of orchid bark in this substrate. I have no idea, I don't remember why. Also, for her substrate mixture, I actually plan to test something. I got a bit of clayish dirt that I dug from outside and I want to mix it up with her substrate. In a recent video I mentioned that my trapdoor spider died. It was a mature male, but I got a comment from one subscriber telling me that I should mix up this dirt because they need some harder material for their trapdoors. And I will definitely do that once I get a trapdoor spider, but before that I want to mix it up with my substrate mixture to see how that looks and how it will behave. This will be a bit of an experiment. I'm not 100% certain, but I think that I never did it in the past. And I will actually use the enclosure to mix everything up, which is perhaps not the best idea. The appearance is not that much different, I must say. I guess it takes a lot more dirt to make a difference. For substrates to appear differently, leaf litter, scatter it around and cover it with substrate. Whenever you drop a leaf litter inside of your enclosure, you always want to partially bury it in the dirt and get small pieces of dirt on it, because if you just put all leaves like this, they will look unnatural, but if you partially bury it and get dirt on it, it looks much better. It blends in much better. Blending in is the key. Nature is chaotic and unpredictable, and that is exactly what you want to replicate. So, ta-da! This is the enclosure ready for the tarantula, and I can tell you that my hand is starting to be itchy. Not cool at all. But I will risk it with another handling. Oh, come on. A couple of pokes are necessary, I guess. There we go. I just hope that she won't throw any hairs. Please, please, no hairs. I'm so itchy. Go and check out your new enclosure, your new home. Or you can just sit there and chill. I don't mind. I don't mind at all. Ooh, maybe the contrast in between excavator clay and substrate is a bit too much, a bit too contrasty. But the rocks, only rocks and dirt go together nicely, but excavator clay is a bit of an outsider. But it doesn't matter. It is still a pretty enclosure. So let me put a top panel and that is it. We are done. And she freaked out for a second. And I actually forgot. She got a name. Her name is Minerva, because back in the day when I got her in second dark den, I was keeping her in a plastic cup, and what she did, she actually expanded the ventilation hole until it was big enough for her to fit outside. She was gone for a few days, only to be found in a room next to the dark den where another business was located. Thankfully she was fine and no one freaked out, but that was the only case of tarantula escaping outside of the dark den. Hopefully it will stay like that, because dark den is now in my house, so I don't really want any free roaming tarantulas. Anyhow, I hope that you enjoyed this video. My hands are itching so badly, itching so bad. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to thumbs it up and comment something. If you want to support this channel more, there's a Patreon page and also a merch page where you can also buy these acrylic enclosures and plastic parts to assemble enclosure just like this. So check that out. Message me if you're coming to Verona and want to reserve some tarantula or enclosure. I upload every Monday, sometimes a live stream on Sunday, so see you again really soon. Bye!